Hello and welcome to the Rhobin Knits podcast. Today we have a regular podcast. We are going to be covering one finished object actually, and about 3 works in progress and 1 knitting plan. So if this is something you are interested in, I hope you join me for a while and let me give you company for a bit. For those new subscribers and those returning, first of all, hello. I am Rhoda. I live in a small town outside of the Greater Toronto area, and recently I've been saying it in other videos as well. The move to this particular part of the country has made me more motivated towards knitting because it is really cold out here, and also this is a pretty cold winter. There weren't many knitting or crafty people in my life, and so I started this podcast just as a way to record, journal, vent maybe a little bit about how my projects are going and things I'm planning and all the joy I'm getting out of knitting. Today's a very cold, snowy, grey day, and that called for a nice, warm, handmade item, and so I am wearing my April cardigan. I'll put a picture of what it looks like, the whole cardigan over here. This was knit in size 4 with 1 strand of Knit Picks Galileo in the colorway Quartz and 1 strand of Knit Picks Alpaca lace in the colorway Bates. The Quartz is a very deep red colorway and Bates is a very brown colorway, and the overall marling gave me this nice brick colored sweater which I really like, cardigan which I really like, and most of these are usually on sale in the Knit Picks website, so if you are interested in purchasing some good quality but budget-friendly yarns, you could always head to that particular website. My first finished object for today is a Tolsta Vest. I wore it on Sunday and I don't remember where I put it. I have been looking for it but I'm not able to find it, and so I'll put pictures of it here when I find it. I haven't taken proper pictures yet, so I'll probably put it on a hanger and maybe wear it the next time I do a podcast so you can see it on me. Now this vest I had knit in size 4, but I had to go down a few stitches because I made a major modification. I'll talk about it in a little bit. The yarns used for this project are leftovers from my spring fling sweater, and that is again Knit Picks yarns. You'll hear a lot of Knit Picks yarns because those are budget friendly like I mentioned before, and that's what I usually gravitate towards. So the yarns used for this particular vest was Knit Picks palette in the colorway Bouquet Heather, and the contrast color was Oyster Heather. Now the Tolsta tank is a solid tank, so you will ask, what is the contrast colorway and why? That's the first modification I made on this particular vest. This is fingering weight yarn, so I made the 4-ply version of the vest, and you would also know that the pattern comes as a tank, a vest, and a cami. So I picked the vest option, and I wanted to borrow colorwork pattern from one of Mary Wallen's patterns. I have the book Shetland, and I wanted to make one of her other patterns. I think it was called the Muckle Row. So I borrowed the motif from there and put it into a vest, and that's why the contrast color is mentioned. Now to accommodate that, I had to make a few changes to the size of the sweater as well. I knit size 4, but I had to go down. I had to cast on fewer stitches because the pattern repeat for the Muckle Row pattern, Muckle Row color work, is about 12 stitches, and so to make sure I had multiples of 12, I had to remove a few stitches from the size 4, from the number of stitches that the size 4 Tolsta Vest recommended. Now after that, the vest pattern became more like a guideline, and then I worked on the length and I went by the feel of it. I first finished the color work and then I knitted to the length I wanted. Even when it came to the separation of the front and back, I just divided all of the stitches I had by 2 and then followed the instructions given in the vest pattern itself. And with the decreases, again, when it came to the shoulder straps, the shoulder panel, I wanted a wider shoulder panel, and so I made changes again. I don't want to really say what's the number of stitches the pattern recommended you need to decrease until you have this many number of stitches, but I decreased until I had 12, and that gave me a broader shoulder strap, and then I just Kitchener stitched it. Same thing with the finishings. I simply did 1x1 ribbing, and I just did 2 rows of that and bound off in pattern itself. I did not use any fancy bind off. Also because I wasn't sure if I'm going to like the ribbing, and if I was also thinking if I want to undo the ribbing and do an I-cord, and I just wanted to first wear it and see how it went with the entire outfit, and then see if I had to make any changes. So I did not want to take time to do a proper Italian bind off and then sit and undo the Italian bind off, and so I just bound it off in pattern. Thankfully I don't have to undo it. It looks perfect the way it is, and I have decided to leave it that way. Now I am going to be wearing this vest quite a lot. When I wore it on Sunday, I wore it with a black turtleneck and a black skirt, a different colored shoes, something that matched the vest, and it was wonderful. It was a pop of color in winter, and that's exactly what I envisioned the vest to be. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. This is in fact my 3rd Tolsta. I don't think it's going to be my last, simply because like the pattern was intended to be. It's a nice clean slate, a basic pattern that you can modify to however you want it to be, and so color work is okay, or any other modifications you want to make. This is a good pattern to start experimenting your modifications with. I must say we have fading daylight. I am recording this at the end of a work day, and so I have a lamp over here that's going to give me some amount of light. I've tried to make it as neutral colored as possible, but then we have natural daylight here, and I'm going to try and finish this before we lose all of the daylight. My first work in progress is the late checkout sweater. You would have seen Veronica Lindbergh start posting a few pictures about this, and this is a beautiful, simple, very staple kind of outfit. It's a drop shoulder sweater. It's meant to be oversized and it's meant to be slouchy. If you look at the actual recommended ease, I'm supposed to be knitting size 4, but I went to the lower range of ease and picked a size 3. I have been recently noticing that size 3s have been fitting me a lot better than size 4s, and so I've been taking the effort to measure myself, which I did not previously do, and then see what is the ease I would like, and then measure it on other garments that I have and see if I really like it, and then pick a size. And so I decided to go with size 3 for this sweater. Now I finished the body of the sweater. I tried it on. I really liked the fit, and so I don't regret it yet. I intend to wear this around the house with just a pair of leggings or some shorts, and so this is going to be my comfort wear. It's a late checkout sweater after all. It screams ease, it screams being casual, and that's how I wanted this sweater to be translated into. This test knit is due for January 24th, so I'm certainly in a rush to finish the project. The pattern is very simple, very well written. It has tutorial videos and even the written instructions for anything that's complicated, like Italian bind off. I don't know if it was a tubular bind off. I think it's a tubular bind off. 1x1 tubular bind off, yes. It is very well written, very elaborate, and so it makes just following the instructions a pleasure. You don't have to second guess anything that's on the pattern, and I think that's a win for any pattern that's written that way. The test knit process itself was a little mediocre, especially because I like seeing progress pictures of other test knitters. I like having that chatter, people recommending color combinations to each other, and I really miss that when a test knit does not have it. This is the first time I am test knitting for Veronica Lindbergh, and so I'm not sure if this is what it was supposed to be. So this was a Word document, and everyone was just on the Word document making recommendations or adding notes and comments wherever a change was required, and there was no communication otherwise with each other. There was no group on Instagram or Slack or any other place like how other test knits were. And so this test knit, the experience itself was, I would say, okay, but the product is amazing. This is what the sweater is looking like. I'm trying to be careful because I have one sleeve still on the needles, so you can see I'm really cutting it close to the deadline. So this is what it's looking like. This is the body of the sweater. There's one sleeve that's done, and I am working on the second sleeve. Now this sweater is supposed to be unique in the sense it was supposed to be knit with 3 strands or 4 strands of yarn held together, and it was supposed to produce some kind of marling. I was of course not going to do that because it would mean using a lot of yarn, so the sweater was going to get expensive, and for something that I am visualizing to be used as a casual wear, I do not want to spend that much yarn money on it. And I also want to knit out of stash this year, and so I've been very intentional about yarn choices. Now, long ago, I think almost 3 years ago, Knitpicks had a sale of their Brava 100% acrylic yarn, and this was big ball of yarn. So this is what is left after I've used this in a poncho for somebody, and after I made the entire sweater and just with one sleeve to go. There's still that much yarn left, so I decided to use that yarn. When I started, I weighed the yarn, but I still felt I might be running short of yarn, and so I decided to stripe it with the white colorway. The main colorway is Dove Heather, and then the contrast colorway is just called white. I had a big ball of yarn of the white colorway as well, and I thankfully used it for a few more projects. I don't have as much of the white as I have of the gray, and so I was thankful that I was able to use it in this project. And like I said, I want it to be a home wear or very casual wear, which means it's going to get stained, it's going to get dirty, and I can just throw it in the wash, and it's going to be simpler for me to use. My favorite part of this sweater is the 2x2 ribbing on the top and on the sleeves. Of course, the sleeves are more tight. Again, I'm hoping that blocking would relax it, although this is acrylic yarn, so I don't know how much about blocking would actually change the way the yarn behaves. And also the bottom of the sweater has the 2x2 ribbing, so I'm very happy with the 2x2 ribbing. There's something very nice about the 2x2 ribbing. It's very plump, it's very lush, and it's such a beautiful way to finish a sweater. So I'm very happy with that. My next test knit is called the Bloom Sweater. This is for Brianna from the Wool Bird. I don't know what it finishes with. I guess it's just, I think her company and Instagram name is just called Wool Bird. And this has been a wonderful knitting experience. It's a colorwork sweater. I should start with just showing the sweater. So this is what it looks like as of now. I have finished the colorwork part, and I have finished the body of the sweater as well. I'm yet to do both the sleeves. The sleeves are on hold. This sweater, again, I have gone down a size from my usual choice of size. Like I was mentioning before, my usual choice of size would be size 4, and I have gone down to size 3. Now, when I tried on the sweater, it fit me just right, but I feel the body is snug. I am hoping blocking opens it up. I had blocked after a part of the color work was done. I blocked the sweater, and it actually opened quite a bit, and that made me very confidently go with the size 3 itself. And so I'm hoping it blocks and blooms a little more and expands, so I can wear it with ease. This, again, I wanted to wear sometime in February, where just to go with the background of what nature looks like. Most of the grass in winter looks somewhat like this. It's very dark and dried, and it's either brown or gold, with some speckles of snow. Although this is flowery, there's some speckles of snow, so I felt this would go very well with how nature looks in February, just before spring, and wear it all through Feb. I also wanted to make it in a colorful color, so I can also wear it for a little bit of the spring and not feel out of way. I do feel with the motifs itself, this is a very, very spring appropriate sweater. I am very eager to finish the sweater and wear it. Maybe not the next time, but the video after, I would love to wear this and show you what it looks like. With the pattern itself, again, it's a very well written pattern. There were barely any mistakes that I could see and show the designer. I also started the test knit pretty late compared to all of the other test knitters. Canada Post was on strike, and so it was a little challenging for me to get the yarn. I had to look it up on different places, and finally I ended up ordering it from Knits, only because they were having other delivery partners other than just Canada Post without extra money being charged, and so I was able to order from them and get it towards the end of December. So I cast it on, and this is where I am at. The deadline for this is February 1st. I intend again to finish it this week. Now the yarn, I forgot to talk about that. It's Knitting for Olive, and the main color is dark ochre, and the contrast color is Marzipan. I have heard people talking about Knitting for Olive so much. This was also one of the yarns I wanted to try this year, so I'm very, very happy and glad I had a chance to try this sweater, this yarn. I do want to try their cotton merino next. I think if I run out of summer yarns for this year and I want more, I'd probably consider that, but for now we're good. Working with the yarn was wonderful. It was crunchy. how do I explain crunchy? It's not soft, but it's not very hard either. And when you work with it, it glides smoothly over the needles, but still you can feel a certain kind of friction. And I had to keep my hands moisturized while working on this yarn. It was pretty dry, and I knit continental, and it was leaving white marks on my hand all the time, so I had to keep moisturizing my hand. But overall, just working with the yarn is a beautiful experience. I don't know how someone could just come up with the perfect combination or perfect spin of a certain yarn, but this is one of those yarns that I really liked. I haven't really worked with the fingering weight of this yarn, so I have heard people say the fingering weight is way better than the heavy merino, but I'll probably have to work with that first to see if there's any difference. But as of now, I really like this yarn. This project also has 2x2 ribbing. The recommendation for this again was that you knit it long enough to fold it, but I do not somehow like thick collars. I feel it weighs down on my neck unless it is a double knit button band, something like this. I feel this is more smoother and lighter, but if it is something like this and I have to fold it down, I find it very uncomfortable, so I did not do that. That was one of the modifications I made. But it does have a 2x2 ribbing, and I was very happy to start working with that. Like I said, 2x2 ribbing is one of the ribbing styles I enjoyed the most, so I'm happy the last 2 sweaters I worked on had the 2x2 ribbing. If you have been watching me for a while, you would know that I had started working on petite knit Stockholm Sweater last year. This was supposed to be a gift knit for someone whose birthday was on November. I had run out of yarn, and I ordered some more yarn, and this is Drops yarn, Drops Daisy, and the colorway is Parrot Green. I had ordered this from the Wool Warehouse, and the day that this yarn was out for delivery, Canada Post went on strike, and I did not get the yarn on time to finish it. So this is what it's looking like so far. I am, let's say, a little more than halfway down the body. The person I'm knitting this for is quite a tall person. I'm knitting size 2, and so all the yarn quantity that I had done the math for was for size 2, but I forgot that this person is a really tall person and would need a little more length in both in the body of the sweater and in the sleeves. And so I went ahead, ordered some more yarn, and I ended up getting this yarn at the same time I got yarn for my other sweater. I got it at the end of December, and so once I finish the test knits, this would be the sweater that I go back to, and I intend to finish it soon as well. So that's something that's going to be on my needles after the 2 big ones, the test knits, are finished, and I just wanted to bring it out, show you, instead of just having a finished object out of the blue. And then the last project I wanted to talk about is something that's not cast on yet. This is the first gift knitting I'm doing for this year. This is for a 1-year-old. If you watched my 2025 knitting plans, you might have heard me talk about this. So I am knitting the Molly Mini for this little boy who's turning a year old. He is dearly loved, and I wanted to make him a colorwork sweater. Now I am using the leftover yarn from Sam's Care sweater last year. This is the colorway Teal Abyss, and this is the colorway Undyed. It's called Wintergrass. There are 2 undyed versions, and one is called Wintergrass, one is called something else, but this is the Wintergrass one. This is more on the greige side of cream, and both of these have gone very well in projects together, and I'm hoping to make a colorwork sweater. Now this is all I have left of both the yarns, so I need to make this work. I do not want to work it on an open gauge, because although this is supposed to be a DK weight yarn, it leans more towards sport or even fingering, I would say. And so for me to knit, I do not want to knit it with a 4mm needle. If I do, I want to hold it double, and so I need to be a little mindful about how I'm going to be using this yarn. Like I mentioned, I do want this sweater to be a colorwork sweater. I am still thinking about what motifs would be ideal for a 1-year-old. Sam is the godfather of this child, and so I don't mind adding parts of the Care sweaters colorwork into this sweater so they can have matching sweaters. But then again, I feel it's too intricate for a 1-year-old. I don't know if I want to put some animals on a sweater instead, and he would enjoy it a lot better. So I'm still thinking about what would be appropriate for the child. So that's quite a lot to do. I have, like I was mentioning, I have strong deadlines for at least 2 of the test knits. Gift knit is supposed to be done at least by the 1st of Feb, so I'll be able to finish it, block it, dry it, and give it to the parents. The baby is gonna turn 1 on February 3rd, so I wanted finish this way before that, and so this is going to be a little rushed. The next 2 weeks is going to feel a little rushed. I am on some strict deadlines, and so the next time I do a video, I was hoping to do something different, but I think it would be another podcast because I would have too many finished objects and I'd like to show them all before they all pile up and it becomes too much for me to cover and talk about. That reminded me, there have been, I was looking at when I did the last podcast, it was almost 2 months ago. And so there have been multiple things that were finished between then and now. For example, my shifty was finished in that period of time. I also finished another cardigan from Other Loops. It was called the Brady Loop cardigan. It was a gift knit and it was knit in a rush, and I had to block it and give it away right after blocking it. So I just took it off the blocking mat, wrapped it, and then gave it away. And so I did not really have time to photograph it and document it, which I really regret. But I think those are kind of lost projects now. At least the Brady Loop cardigan, there's no way I'm going to be able to show and talk about it. Or I wish I had at least taken pictures of it while it was blocking. It was a beautiful cardigan for sure. If I recreate it, that'll be great. If not, I feel there's not much I can talk about with respect to that cardigan. About the shifty, maybe when I wear it and I talk about what I'm wearing in different videos, I'll be able to give a little more information. I just need to remember to do that. Well, with that, I want to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging around. Thank you for subscribing. If you liked any part of the video or if you find any of the projects intriguing, I hope you like the video so it would reach a lot more people and they would enjoy it as well. Thanks for sticking around and happy knitting.